Racecourse is the most beautiful racetrack in America, hands down.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the breeding stock sale. Book one. Good to have you back with us.
And a good Thursday night, everybody. Welcome into the Keeneland Look Ahead. I'm Jeremy Plonk from Horse Player Now. We've just got two more shows left for this fall meet before we get a couple days off and come back, and we'll have Keeneland Look Ahead previews for Breeders' Cup Friday and Saturday for November 4th and 5th. The 2 days remaining here at the fall meet include 5 stakes races, 2 on Friday, 3 on closing day Saturday. Of course, fans of Kentucky racing know that Churchill Downs will be opening on Sunday. Street Sense Stakes and some other good action there in Louisville coming up on Sunday. But we've got 10 race card on Friday to get into, beginning at 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon. So before we get to that, we'll talk a little bit about what happened today on the racetrack and some Breeders' Cup news at Keeneland. Then we'll get into a full preview of the 10 race card coming up for Friday. Interesting racing today where Joel Rosario and Wesley Ward were the stars of the show. They teamed to win 3 of the 9 races on the card. The 3 wins brings Wesley Ward just 1 behind Todd Pletcher for the leading trainer's title now. Pletcher's got 10 wins. He picked up the win in the opening race on the card. Then Ward's 3 brought him to 9. So it's 10 for Pletcher, 9 for Ward. And then you've got a logjam in third with 7 wins for Brad Cox, Mike Maker, and Kenny McPeak. The way the entries shake out, highly unlikely any of those other 3 have a chance. This leading trainer title comes down to Todd Pletcher and Wesley Ward, most likely by the numbers over the final 2 days. As for the leading jockey race, we are even at 17 after today's racing. It's Luis Saez and Tyler Gaffleone with a race to a 2-day race to the finish line for those 2 for the leading jockey. Really interesting maiden winner on the card today, Rarify. If you saw her, a 2-year-old filly, one of those 3 wins for Wesley Ward and for jockey Joel Rosario. Rarify, a half-sister to the great Ron Happy, the Breeders' Cup Sprint winner, and she's by the Triple Crown winner, Justify. So what a pedigree there. Rarify took her 3 starts to break her maiden, but she did it impressively today, and the future is bright for that one. Let's see where she ends up over the course of the winter and into the 3-year-old season. Favorites won 6 of 8 on Wednesday to start closing week, and today they weren't much easier on the competition. 5 of 9 races today went to the favorites. That means favorites are 11 for 17 for the week. Personal handicapping front picked up 2 winners today. Not a whole lot in the ROI. We're up 22.86 for the meet, so still a positive ROI, but you know that number was up around $70, $80. Now we're down to 22.80. 2 days left to go. Still a very good chance to turn a profit for the meet. We want to build on that, though. Let's have 2 big winning days here, the final 2 days of the meet. Hopefully the favorites have gotten it out of their system here the first 2 days of the week, and we can get some price horses in the rest of the way. Co-features on the Friday card will be the Myrtlewood Stakes in race number 7 and the Valley View in race number 8. Grade 3 company there for 3-year-old fillies on the turf. The Myrtlewood is a 2-year-old race for the fillies on the main track. Let's get a big picture look at how things shake out for Friday with a 10-race card. The Keeneland Turf Pick 3 is back. We've got turf races in races 5, 8, and 10. You see that in the green TP3. Our stakes races are races 7 and 8, as we talked about, the Myrtlewood and also the Valley View. And, of course, with a 10-race card, no overlaps in the Pick 5s or Pick 4s. Early Pick 5 will be races 1 through 5. The late Pick 5, races 6 through 10. And then, of course, the Pick 4s on races 2 and 7 starting 2 through 5, and then 7 through 10. Look, the key plays that I have today, the way it works out, they're all at the end of the card. Races 8, 9, and 10. So that's good news for the late pick 5, the late pick 4, and the Keeneland Turf pick 3, because races 8 and 10 are both part of that pick 3, the Turf pick 3. It's not to say we might not hit some winners early in the card. I just feel a little more confident on the back end of the card and feel like we've got a few more plays there that we want to specifically point out and really aim for. So we'll get to those as we handicap through this entire 10-race program. Let's get after it, folks, and go to the Keeneland Selectors box. You can download this and print it for yourself, a nice printable version, Keeneland.com. This is the screenshot of the handicapper's consensus. And we get started in race number 1 on this Friday card with the non-winners of 2 lifetime $30,000 claimer going the 7 for a long distance. Mahamel's the top pick by all the public handicappers except yours truly. This is probably a Todd Pletcher favorite on the drop in class, who gets into the maiden level 30 here, and everybody's just going to go ahead and take him. You say, well, he's by Into Mischief. Why aren't you picking him? You always pick the Into Mischiefs. There are 3 Into Mischiefs in this race, and they're my top 3 picks. Flint Ridge, Chasing Rainbows, and Mahamel, all by sire Into Mischief. The top sire not only at this meet, but on the Keeneland dirt, since we transferred the surfaces back in 2014 in the fall. So all the Into Mischiefs, I think, figure in here. I think Flint Ridge is the best possibility of those 3. I also think he's got the best maiden win on form, because he won a Saratoga maiden race back in August of 2021. Mahamel won at Belmont Park in June. I just think the Saratoga maiden races are a little bit tougher. Chasing Rainbows won a maiden special at Ellis. So when I look at a non-winners of 2 lifetime, whether I'm talking about Keeneland or I'm talking about Monmouth or Laurel or anywhere around the country, in a non-winners of 2 claiming race or non-winners of 2 race of any sort, who has the best win on their resume? That's usually, for me, one of the deciding factors in those races, because non-winners of 2 lifetime means they've all won 1, they haven't won 2. Who won the best race when everybody's got 1 win on the docket? For me, it's Flint Ridge. I think that race at Saratoga in August back last summer is the best win anybody has on the form. Again, you've got the Into Mischief. You get Tyler Gaffleone, top rider at the meet. Luis Saez is on Mahamel. So we're talking about these 2 guys that are tied 17 apiece at the top of the standings. They're on the 2 most logical contenders as well in race number 1. Who knows? Maybe this will be the one that ends up being the deciding factor at the end of the meet. But Flint Ridge, Mahamel, and Chasing Rainbows, I don't think there's a lot separating the 3 of them. Everybody's got a lot of combinations of 3, 5, and 6, as you see. I just think Flint Ridge is going to be the best price of the group because, people bet connections. Let's just be honest. Todd Pletcher and Brad Cox train the other 2 Into Mischiefs. This one's trained by Joe Sharp, who's certainly capable, but Joe Sharp's not going to take money at the windows just on name alone. So I think you're going to get the better price on Flint Ridge. That's where I'll go. In race number 1. That starts the early pick 5 as we go back and look at the big picture. I think you use all 3 of those Into Mischiefs in there. 3, 5, and 6 is the only way for me to feel comfortable getting out of race number 1. But again, I think you get the better price on the Sharp training in there, Flint Ridge. To the second we go, where the early pick 4 starts. And this is one where I'm going to another angle. I've chased it a bunch this meet. Not a bunch, but I'd say 3, 4 times. And I'm looking for Mike Tomlinson to break through with one of these late season horses. He's got Soupy in here, and Soup's the 7 horse. Tomlinson takes a big class drop with this one. Second off the layoff, was off a year, came back in a maiden special, showed absolutely nothing. Now they drop down to the $20,000 level, but he goes to his jockey, Joe Rocco, that has the tremendous ROI. These 2 at Keeneland have an $11.16 ROI for every $2 bet. It's insane. Over the course of the last year, $2.75 ROI for every $2 bet on 175 team ups. You can get a price with Tomlinson and Rocco. I'm going back to Soupy, taking a shot in here. I also think the 10, Bucky Bitcoin for trainer Keith DeSormo, a very good trainer on the drop into the maiden claiming ranks. We caught a winner with DeSormo in the last race today. That momentum, maybe carries over to the next day. But this is a strong stat line for trainer Keith DeSormo. Keith DeSormo's horses, when they get into the maiden claiming ranks, he's usually got them spotted pretty well, and they find a good spot. Bucky Bitcoin certainly could be a tough contender in here. The outside post, not that big of a deal, going 6 furlongs, so certainly a major contender in there. Soupy, Bucky Bitcoin, 2 trainer angles for me that I'm taking on top in race number 2. Lucky Luna's a horse who, on form, and Chris Hartman takes off the claim. Golden Luna is a horse with speed and fairly good form for this $20,000 level. I think Golden Luna can be a part of it. And also the one Willisey for Steve Asmussen having a good meet. This one goes turf to dirt, but the pedigree says, should be just fine on the dirt. So Willisey, another one in here I think you consider in race number 2. So I would say 7, 10, 4, and 1 if you look across the way. A lot of the same horses, right? Bucky Bitcoin, Golden Luna, Soupy. So 7, 10, 4, and 1. 4 deep in the multi-race wagers. Second race, of course, starts the early pick 4. Let's advance now to race number 3 on this Friday card at Keeneland, $150,000 maiden claimer, just a tick below a maiden special weight race. I don't know if anybody's going to dip in and claim one here for $150,000, but boy, the claiming business was brisk today at Keeneland. If you were paying attention after the race when they announced the claims, or the horses who get the tag under their halter or under their bridle and are taken away after the race after they're claimed. Race number 1 on the Thursday card, 5 different runners in the race were claimed. And in the last race, race number 9, 6 of the horses were claimed out of that race. So the claiming business is brisk. I don't know if it'll be brisk, though, for $150,000 for these 2-year-olds in race number 3. See if anybody dips in and buys one. I went with Boudin on top, the 5. Dale Romans trains here. This is a horse out of Churchill. The horses from Churchill have done very well in the maiden claiming ranks throughout the course of this meet with the 2-year-olds as well. Boudin, my top pick in here, a little bit of experience. I kind of prefer that to the first-time starters. 6.5 furlongs, a little bit of a tricky distance. So I went Boudin on top. A Golden Bandit certainly has to be respected for Brad Cox. This is a horse who debuted already at the meet, comes back and runs second time at the meet. We've seen a run back or 2 win here so far this week. A little bit of a troubled trip for Golden Bandit. Brad Cox, not typically a trainer who runs horses back second time at the meet here at Keeneland, but over the next couple of days, he's going to do it several times. A little bit out of character for him. As far as the stats line go and trying to follow it, it doesn't happen very often. Definitely a change of attitude with that. One Giant Leap has to be respected. This is Wesley Ward. This is Joel Rosario. Again, they teamed up to win 3 races on the card on Thursday. Do they carry that into Friday? We'll see with this rookie. That's their first chance together, a One Giant Leap. I think all 3 are very legitimate contenders. Mr. Bob, also a horse claimed by Robert Falcone. This is a good claiming barn out of Saratoga. I think, honestly, you could go 4 deep in this race. Now, I know I'm talking 3 deep in the opener, 4 deep in the second, 4 deep in the third. And you can see why my key plays are a little bit later in the day, because I think these races are pretty wide open earlier. Doesn't mean you can't catch a nice price. Just means you might not want to be playing a 4x4x4x4 kind of ticket in a pick 4 or pick 5, because it's going to get awfully expensive. And do you really have great coverage if you think there's 4 or 5 major contenders in a race? It's pretty wide open. One of those races during the course of the sequence then could just blow completely wide open, and a horse who's your 8th, 9th, 10th most likely winner could end up winning them. So it's going to be tough, I think. I think this is an early pick 4 and an early pick 5 that could pay big balloons. You just got to dive in and have an opinion somewhere. I've got races that I think there are multiple horses in. Again, I think you can go 4 deep here in the third race. So back-to-back races for me, where my recommendation is you probably want to use 4 to feel like you've got them. And then, those are by definition already pretty wide open races. Let's go back to the handicapper selectors box and take a look at race number 4. C's Get Degrees is my pick in here. Also the top pick of Scott Hazelton. You've got Flags Up, you got Mr. Thunderstruck, and you got Hunker Burnin' Love also getting top picks from the Keeneland Public Handicappers. So 5 handicappers, 4 different choices on top. This, again, not a race where there's a lot of defined public sentiment in here. We could be looking at another pretty wide open race. I like the inside speed for C's Get Degrees. This is California speed coming in. Jonathan Wong, high percentage trainer in Northern California, also had a big Del Mar meet this year. C's Get Degrees has speed, has the rail. I think just goes and sends from the inside. So Raylu Gutierrez, I hope he's got the the boots are pumping right out of the gate and the elbows going. And I want to see this horse put on the front. C's Get Degrees. If they make the front, they might be pretty dangerous in here. I don't think there's a lot of speed in this race. Mean Jakey's the other horse in here with some pace. And other than that, I don't see a lot of early speed in here. It's some horses like some cheaper speed from Belterra, that sort of thing. But I think the 1 and the 3, C's Get Degrees and Mean Jakey, I think they break 1, 2 in some form or fashion. And those two can hold it at 6 furlongs at this claiming level. Not afraid at all to take some inside speed here and just go with it. So I've got C's Get Degrees and Mean Jakey, the top 2 in here. Below that, you get into Hunkenberg of Love on the outside, big class dropper here. Al Stahl got off to a fast start at the meet. He hasn't run that many horses since. He won 3 opening weekend, hasn't won a race since, but again, he's only had a handful of starters. Would be no surprise to see Hunkenberg of Love in here. Certainly would fit. First time on the class drop. This horse has taken on Kavad and Gunite in the last 2 starts, who are major stakes type players. So Hunkenberg of Love's getting into a much easier spot. Again, we are looking at a situation where I think you want to stay 3 deep in here. I think the 1, the 3, and the outside runner in here, Hunkenberg and Love, the 9 also a legitimate win contender. That doesn't even take into effect Gabby's top pick, the 4 Flags Up, or the 2 Mr. Thunderstruck top pick in here for Kim. So this is a competitive group. If you take the one, like I often say this, when you talk about a multi-race wager and you're going to go 2 deep, you don't want 2 horses with the exact same running styles, because if one doesn't get the trip, the other one probably doesn't either. Most of the time, bad trips are pace related. So C's Get Degrees and Mean Jakey, I think, are the 2 speeds in this race. If they go knock each other out, then it does set up for somebody else. So I don't like to be too deep with horses who have the same running style. I do think one of these 2 horses probably wins the race, the 1 or the 3. But because they have the same running style, I think Hunkenberg of Love or Burnin' Hunk of Love is more likely to stalk and try to pounce. So I would like to have all 3 of them again to feel comfort. But again, we're talking 3 by 4 by 4 by 3. We're 4 races in, and we haven't narrowed a race less than 3 where we have a high confidence factor yet. So again, the early pick 4 and early pick 5 on this Friday card don't necessarily line up for my particular style and what I'm looking for in my handicapping. Maybe for you, you've got a couple spots where you can narrow a little bit more. Let's cruise through the card, though, as we talked about the way things set up. Race number 5 is going to kick off the turf pick 3 for the day, and also the pick 6 opens here in race number 5. No carryover in the pick 6 as we hit the final 2 days of the meet. Reminder, on Saturday, closing day, all pools must be paid out, so we will have mandatory payouts. Races like the pick 6, pick 5, if nobody hits everything, there are no perfect tickets, then the tickets with the most winners would then pay out. 5th race is an allowance race on the turf. It's 2-year-olds here going a mile on the grass. And in this race in the 5th, I ended up going with Heavenly Sunday. I'm the only one with Heavenly Sunday on the island there. A couple third choices for that one. But if you look around, Aztec Knights gets a couple plays. Heavenly Sunday for me. Murky, Freest to Red. So this is another one. 5 public handicappers, 4 different horses picked on top. I said it was going to be a tough early pick 4 and pick 5, and it really looks that way based on the way our handicapping consensus does not create any consensus. Heavenly Sunday for me is going to be the top pick off a big win at Indiana Grand in the career debut. Now, I will say this was a dawdling pace. 24-2, 50-2, 115-3. Came home the mile or 7.5 furlongs at 132-2. Picked it up on the back end, but this was a slow pace and a gift wrap win with a first over style as the favorite for Heavenly Sunday. It's going to get much tougher here, but I like the pedigree. Candy Ride, the veteran sires, having a big meet with 5 winners, couple on the turf, couple 3 on the main track. This one's got the Giants Causeway in the bottom of the pedigree. We'll love the turf course, I think, here at Keeneland. So give me Brad Cox and Florent Giroux on Heavenly Sunday. I know it was a perfect trip win in the debut. It's going to get tougher here, but certainly liked what I saw first time out. Buttons down on the inside, another for Joe Sharp, Tyler Gaffleone teaming up here. This one adds blinkers after being the beaten favorite at Kentucky Downs. Fair effort there at Kentucky Downs, and the Kentucky Downs runners do well here at Keeneland in the allowance ranks on the turf. So this is a good spot. I would think Buttons is going to be a major contender in here. Certainly Murky for Wesley Ward. Now this one has Gerardo Corrales riding. We're not riding here in the 5th race with the hot connections with Joel Rosario. but this is Gerardo Corrales' mount this time after a debut win at Kentucky Downs. Murky, certainly a legitimate contender. Then you have CC Cruise Control for Kenny McPeak, has run pretty decently in a couple back-to-back stakes, the Kentucky Downs Juvenile Fillies and the Jessamine Stakes here earlier this meet. Trying to wheel back here on short rest, coming back 21 days later from the Jessamine. CC Cruise Control would not be out of the question either. So again, for me, I mean, you're looking at 3-4 deep in here, and that's not using Aztec Knights. That's not using the top pick, Freitas the Red, off the also eligible list. If that one draws in for Kenny McPeak, you certainly would want to consider that one. The top pick, Aztec Knights, that I was mentioning was for Tom and for Scott. I'm 3-4 deep and haven't used Aztec Knights to that point. This is a tough race. Aztec Knights coming off a dirt race, going back to the turf here. It did show some success on the turf at Saratoga over the summer for trainer Wayne Catalano, who's had a decent meet. Wayne got the big win and the winner is as the 2-year-olds on the turf. So Catalano's won the big 2-year-old turf race of the meet. He'll try to win this turf mile allowance race with Aztec Knights. Tough race in race number 5 for the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. As far as the Turf Pick 3 goes, this is the leg I think you want to spread in the Keeneland Turf Pick 3, and I'll try to narrow things down a little bit more in races 8 and 10. Let's move on to the 6th race. Next up on the card at Keeneland on Friday. A little bit more consensus to this one. We talked about the early pick 5 being tough where there's not a lot of consensus. The late pick 5 starts here in race number 6 with Scarlet Stripe, top pick by 4 handicappers, including myself. Sunny River, the top pick for Kim Nelson, has Scarlet Stripe second. This is 2-4. Any way you can cut it almost all the way across. Scarlet Stripe coming off a second place finish last time out against You're So Silly, who's already come back and won at this meet, so that's a good sign. Scarlet Stripe, a 3-year-old filly by Gunrunner for a Brendan Walsh barn that was just ice baby the first 3 weeks of the meet, but has picked it up with a couple wins here closing week, so maybe the Walsh barn can get Scarlet Stripe over the top here. Tyler Gaffley on riding. I really liked that race last time against You're So Silly, who's already come back, like I said, to win at this meet. The other very logical horse in here is the 4 Sunny River. Sunny River has been beaten favorite, though, 3 times in the last 3 starts, and then also was beaten favorite 4 starts back when winning and being disqualified. So 5 races, 5 official second place finishes, 4 times the beaten favorite for Sunny River. Sunny River could certainly win this one for Brad Cox and Florent Giroux. Second time at the meet. They got beat at 54 cents on the dollar last time. So I think we're going to get a little bit better price on Scarlet Stripe. It looks to me clearly it'd be a 2-horse race. All the public handicappers agree. Race 6 is the 2 or the 4. But the 4 has left you waiting so many times, you know. It's like, hey, we're supposed to meet up here, and it doesn't happen. 50 cents on the dollar, 60 cents on the dollar. You've been left at the altar a few times by Sunny River. Go ahead and take the shot in here, I think, with Scarlet Stripe. Now, if you're playing the late pick 5, do you want to go too deep in here to kick off the late pick 5 sequence and double the cost of your ticket? It may be worth it in this particular case, but for me, I'm usually one to say no can do. We're singling and we're going to take our shot. So I'm going with Scarlet Stripe as a solo here. We'll try to beat Sunny River again, maybe as an odds-on favorite again. And if we can knock off a short price favorite in Sunny River, that helps our payoff. So for the late pick 5, which starts here in race number 6, let's take a singleton and get things started with the top choice, Scarlet Stripe in race number 6. 7th race is our first of 2 stakes races. It's also the start of the late pick 4. It's the Myrtlewood Stakes, a race that was inaugurated last year on the stakes schedule, back for a second time. Not a lot of stats and trends you want to look at in this one, but certainly if you watched the races here earlier this meet on October 7th, Key of Life could not have been more impressive. A very dominant victory. And while Brad Cox doesn't run horses back second time at the meet very often here at Keeneland over the years, I said he's doing it several times on the card today. He's got more of that coming over the weekend. Key of Life looks like an absolute standout. All 5 public handicappers have this one on top. I believe Nick Tamero made this one 8-5 in the morning line. So you're looking at a short price here. The one question here is you've got some speed. Obviously, Key of Life is quick. And down on the inside, Lady Radler is very fast coming in from Colonial. This could be a horse speed from the rail who's going to go flying out of there. If that happens, then Satin Doll, the 2, gets a nice pace set up. And I think when you've got a couple really fast speed horses, which you expect to have in a 6-furlong 2-year-old stakes race, The best of those horses puts the others away. The chasers and the horses who are dueling just kind of fade to the back of the pack, and somebody comes along to run second. I think that's where you can get Satin Doll in here. This horse from Southern California, fourth place finisher in the Sorrento for Doug O'Neill. Doug's had some success with 2-year-olds, bringing them here to Keeneland over the years in stakes company this time of year. Would not be surprised if Satin Doll runs a really good race. Joel Rosario is a great fit in the saddle. So this is one where I really do like the exacta in here. I think it's going to be an ice-cold exacta. Kia Life, too good for them, close to the pace. Satin Doll passes the tired horses for second. And to me, this is an ice-cold 6-2 exacta. Not a ton of love for Satin Doll across the selector's box, so maybe we can get a little bit of a price in there. But for me, a straight exacta, 6-2, and I think we're looking at another single. So I go single to start the late pick 5. Scarlet Stripe and Key of Life to get the pick 5 started. Probably second choice and then heavy favorite. So a rather formful start to the late pick 5 and, of course, to the late pick 4. Next up on the card, race number 8 is part of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. It's the Valley View Stakes, Grade 3 company in here. The feature race purse is $300,000. Now, we talked about how we might have a second choice and a favorite showdown in the 6th, a favorite who looks to be a standout in the Myrtlewood Stakes in race number 7. We get to the 8th race in the Valley View, and this is where the historical trends get a little fun. The last 15 years of the Valley View Stakes, one favorite has won. And the average winner of this race has been 11-1 odds. So the Valley View has been a race that has just been a little chaotic. Maybe one of the reasons, I always try to put a little bit of logic to the stats, maybe one of the reasons is this is kind of an afterthought stakes race. The big race for 3-year-old fillies on turf at Keeneland is the Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup. That happens the second week of the meet. So if fillies are going to come out of the QE2 and run back in this race, it's on 2 weeks rest. If they weren't good enough to run and get invited to the QE2, then they're kind of like second tier, and you're looking at maybe fillies who haven't been as successful in stakes company or horses stepping up in class, allowance runners who are trying here at the end of the meet and the end of the fall to become stakes horses. So that could be part of the reason why we kind of have a little bit of a mishmash field historically for the Valley View that is difficult to handicap and has proven to be a big challenge for handicappers. Again, an 11-1 average winner of this race over the last 15 years with exactly one favorite in those 15. Now, closers have done very well in the Valley View. The average winner of this race during those 15 years, 4.5 lengths off the lead after the opening half mile of this mile and a 16th contest. So can we get a price horse from a little bit off the pace? That's what we're hoping to find here. Let's go to the selector's box and see who everybody's got tabbed on top for the Valley View Stakes. California Angel picked on top by Scott. Dolce Zell, the top pick for Tom. I'm going with Sparkle Blue. I'll tell you why in just a moment. Majestic Glory, the top pick for the ladies in here. Majestic Glory, the Todd Pletcher trainee, top pick for Gabby and for Kim Nelson. So I've got Sparkle Blue on top here. I'm looking for a little bit of a price. Graham Motion has had himself quite a meet here during the meet. Graham Motion has won, several turf races. Almost all of his wins have come on the grass at the meet. And what this filly has done in the last couple starts, she won the Christiana Stakes at Delaware Park. And then last time out was second in the Virginia Oaks at 31-1. Sparkle Blue comes out of Virginia Oaks. It's already been a very productive race with a couple winners coming out of it and winning here at the meet at Keeneland. She obviously improved a great deal last time. Let's see if she can do it and keep moving forward. She had a career best speed figure last time out. Joel Rosario rides for Graham Motion. Sparkle Blue, 31-1 when she was second last in the Virginia Oaks. She'll probably be a good, decent 10, 12-1 price in here. And what did we say the average price was in the Valley View Stakes? 11-1. So if we can get somebody right in that area zone on the tote board, I think we're live. And Graham Motion's horses have been really strong this meet. And Motion won this race in 2016, and he won it in 2018. He's had some 3-year-old fillies who were later bloomers and fit in this race at the grade 3 level in the past and had success with it. So I'm going Sparkle Blue for the upset in a race that just has asked for upsets over the years. And that's why my key price player, my first key play of the day, comes at race number 8. We had to wait a while for it, but it is the 12-1 morning line shot, Sparkle Blue, a price in a race that has asked for prices over the years. Now let's go to race number 9. As you see with my key play of the day, number 2. It's my most solid opinion so far this week. Through the 3 days of racing that we've had so far, Wednesday, Thursday, and into Friday. I've been more confident in this pick than any of the others. Race number 9, it's Powder River. Scott's got Powder River on top. So does Gabby. I've got it. Powder River, second choice for Tom and Kim. This is a horse who's 2-1 in the morning line. I'm not expecting to get a big price here, but I think this is a hard lean. I think this is yet another single. Single in the 6th, single in the 7th. If you want to get a little more deep, but again, I like Sparkle Blue. I really like Powder River here in the 9th. You can see this is a situation late in the day where we can pound some rolling daily doubles. We can pound some pick 3s with low number of combinations, pick 4s, pick 5s, try to hit them multiple times. But Powder River is a one-turn Churchill Downs mile horse stretching out to the mile and a 16th here at Keeneland. I love that angle. Inside speed in this race because I don't think the 1 and 2 are particularly fast, not as fast as this one. I think she'll get in front of both of them. Florent Giroux sends, gets over, saves some ground, and is going to be very tough to run down with Powder River. I love her in this spot. I think this 5-year-old mare is a winner, and I think she's going to win handily in race number 9. Micro Cap with the outer draw is a horse that you must respect. They're cutting back in distance a little bit. I don't think quite sharp enough for the mile and a 16th here with the short stretch, but I think it's all Powder River. And try to get into this horse through the daily doubles. Try to get out of this horse through the daily doubles. You know, you got a double from race 8 to 9 and a race 9 to 10 daily double. I think you just want to hammer in on Powder River that way. Sparkle Blue in the 8th, the Powder River in the 9th and the doubles. And then you take Powder River to our choices in the 10th race and try to work that way. If you're working down intra race in here, Powder River on top, Microcap, Tap Dancing Lady, the other two I have in there. And Microcap is the second choice, the top choice, I should say, for a couple of the other handicappers. So we're not looking at a big chance for a large exacta. That's why I'm saying the multi Powder River on top, if you can get 2-1, is a very solid win play. If you want to get into this horse with the doubles, even if you use a couple horses in the 8th to get to them, a pick 3, Key of Life, Sparkle Blue, another contender or two, and then Powder River, you're trying to hit a pick 3 in that case that might give you 12, 15-1 on the pick 3, perhaps on the return. That's the kind of way I think you want to attack in here. I don't think we're going to get much on the intra-race plays because Microcap underneath isn't going to pay much with Powder River on top. So that's the way I see race number 8, but there's a lot of confidence there. Or race number 9, there's a lot of confidence there on Powder River delivering as the winner. Let's go to the 10th and final race. It's my final key play of the day. We told you that Wesley Ward and Joel Rosario won 3 on the program teamed up today. I had them picked on top in this race without a door before today's races started. I liked it even more, and I like the pick even more now after seeing that connection ring the bell 3 times today. So out of door, I think a horse is 6-1 in the morning line. You're not going to get that price. Out of door is probably going to be somewhere around 2-1. 3-1, but I think is the horse to beat. I love the post position in here. In a full field turf sprint, post 3, 4, and 5, I've said it many times, have a statistical advantage. They win at a higher strike rate than they ought to. The inside 2 post positions get squeezed. The outside post positions give away some ground. 3, 4, and 5 are really the power posts you want to be in these big turf sprints. Out of doors in the 5 hole, you get the best turf sprint jockey at Keeneland and Joel Rosario, by far the best turf sprint trainer in Wesley Ward, and a power post. I don't know how you look past it. Out of door to me in the finale, and I'm surprised I'm the only one picking out of door. Several people don't even have out of door picked on top in here. That may change a little bit in the public opinion after what we saw today with Wesley and Rosario. People might be changing a little bit on what they think. Now, I do like Francatelli in here quite a bit. Francatelli is a horse with one of my favorite angles. Laying off, shortening distance a little bit, turning back, as they say, and firing bullets in the morning. The LTB angle, as I like to call it. Irad Ortiz takes the mount on this one. Bullet workout here at Keeneland, October 14th. I expect Francatelli to be tough in here with a lot of speed. Francatelli is going to set the pace in this spot probably, and maybe out of door sit second. I think maybe they can go 1-2 around the track. Out of door pushes by. Francatelli runs second. Boldor is the late runner in here, a classy sprinter, a veteran. Who's been around the oval many times and has been here at Keeneland on the turf in the past. Hasn't run great on the turf here at Keeneland, but this horse's last couple on the turf have been better than his early turf sprint attempts. So out of door might be finally getting it as a turf sprinter and will be a late runner. So for me, it's the exactest 5-7 and 5-4 in the nightcap. Certainly think Francatelli's got a shot in here to run a big race. If you're playing daily doubles like Powder River to the next, I would definitely play 3-5 and 3-7 in the doubles in races 9 and 10. If you're playing a pick 3, I would use the 5 and the 7. And I would use Francatelli in here as well. I'm willing to go too deep in this particular situation with Francatelli in the pick 4 and the pick 5 because we really are not using that many combinations throughout the course of races 6 through 10. Style-wise, they're similar. I don't think that you're going to see Outador go right up, though, and go head-to-head with Francatelli in here. I think Francatelli is going to be clear, probably get a length or two on Outador, and it's kind of like those two, which one can out-finish the other down the lane. But feel good about the back end of this card. I don't know how big the prices are going to be. Sometimes horses pay a little more than you think. Sometimes they pay a lot less than you think. I mean, it's the way it goes. You've got to handicap ahead like we do. That's why it's the look ahead. And then that gives you a chance to play the board a little bit, get a sense of the odds. If you're not sure what price you're going to get in the next race on a horse, look at the daily double probable payoffs in the previous race. So say you love, let's say we love Powder River in race number 9, and we're not quite sure what kind of price we're going to get. When race 8 is being previewed and all the odds are up for race number 8, look at the daily doubles from the horses in race 8 to race 9, and then see how Powder River is being bet in those daily doubles. Is he favored? Is he heavily favored? Is it a lukewarm favoritism in the doubles? That'll give you a sense of how that horse is going to be bet in the win pool. So you might be like, okay, he's going to be favored, but it'll be a lukewarm favorite. If you see he's already going to be a heavy favorite, then you don't want to sit around and wait to make a win bet because you better get in on the daily doubles because you can see already that this horse is going to be a heavy favorite. So just some of the things you can do in time that you have to do that because you've done your advanced preparation and because you're watching shows like this, that tells me that you're a horse player who prepares and you're doing things the right way. And that gives you the flexibility to watch the tote board and do the right things when it comes to gambling when you get to the races or whether you're playing at home on your favorite ADW. That's going to wrap up the card for the Friday, October 28th at Keeneland. Again, Myrtlewood Stakes, Valley View Stakes, races 7 and 8. First post will be at 1 o'clock. Scott and Gabby will be along with you for the Keeneland Today program. They'll have Tom Leach's play of the day. They'll have the Clockers report, all the great information there at 11:30. Give you the updated weather report. I think forecast looks pretty decent for tomorrow, so we should be in good shape. Similar weather to what we had today. Certainly not the Arctic chill that we had on Wednesday when everybody was all bundled up at Keeneland. But on behalf of me and folks at Horse Player Now and everybody at Keeneland, have a great day tomorrow. We will be back on Friday night to preview the closing day card on Saturday. That includes the Fayette Stakes, the Bryan Station, which has a fantastic field, and the Bowman's Mill Stakes as well on Saturday. So 3 stakes races lined up for the Saturday card. Have a great night, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow.